Welcome back. Let's continue with more news. In other international news now, while the war between Russia and the Ukraine rages on, the world has turned its attention to the Middle East as Israel continues to bombard Gaza. In Russia, Russians are marking the season. So for more on the celebrations, we're going to be crossing to SABC News correspondent Dasha Chernyshova for more in Moscow. Dasha, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us at this hour. Perhaps as many people around the world enjoy festivities, the war is not over in the Ukraine. Perhaps you could give us the latest from the Kremlin in relation to this war.
Well, as we have heard, the Kremlin's position here is unchanged for months, and Moscow insists that it is ready for a negotiated solution, yet only for the purposes of achieving the goals of what Russia describes as a special military operation in Ukraine. And as Ukraine has changed the celebration of Christmas in the country from the 7th of January, as it is the tradition in the Orthodox Christianity in Russia, they have changed it to the 25th of December. We have heard the Kremlin reaction before, suggesting that it is now probably time to see when Ukraine adopts English as its national language, because Kremlin insists that it is in line with the Ukrainian position of taking everything Western and going away from the needs and the traditions of the people. The Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the decision as bacchanalia and insanity. So as the Ukrainian authorities have decided to change the celebration of Christmas to the 25th of December, Moscow continues to achieve the goals of the operation. We are seeing now that the Russian President Vladimir Putin is holding a meeting with the Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu that is taking place in St. Petersburg. We also understand that the new strike drones have been presented for the needs of the Russian military. They are called Cube drones. So it is an ongoing operation, and Russia insists that it will last as long as it is needed to achieve the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, while the West has to understand that no matter how much aid Ukraine receives, Russia still wants to achieve those goals.
Dasha, being Orthodox, how is Russia celebrating, observing today?
Well, as an Orthodox country, you can imagine that all the celebrations of Christmas are on the 7th of January, so the 25th of December is a regular day. However, the Patriarch of Russia, Kirill, has sent his congratulations to other Christians who do celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December. He has been saying that he calls on the world and he wishes the world to get back to peace. We also have seen the masses, the services taking place in the Catholic cathedrals in Russia. There are Catholics who reside in Russia. In Moscow, we have seen the masses taking place overnight from the 24th into the 25th. So certainly for those who do celebrate this day on the 25th of December, there are celebrations. For the rest of Russians, it is just the regular day.
All right, Dasha, as we wrap up, looking forward to next year. Next year, Russia will be going to elections. And perhaps at this point, you could speak to what's unfolding on that front, or the presidential candidates. What are you observing on that front as we speak?
Well, there are almost 30 candidates that are now expected to compete to run in the Russian presidential election. But obviously, since incumbent President Vladimir Putin announced that he will seek a 5th term as Russian president, everybody expects that he will win with the majority. Now, we understand that the Communist Party has named its candidate. That's the Liberal Democratic Party is also expected to have Leonid Slutsky as candidate. There are many other candidates, but certainly we understand that the result is pretty much predetermined. If you talk to the political analysts, they do say what is also important is how many votes the opposition candidates, the system opposition candidates, do get. Those system opposition is the parties that are represented in the Russian parliament. Those candidates can get many votes, but they can get fewer votes. So that will be very indicative of what the moods in the Russian society are. But certainly the expectation is indeed that the Russian president, the incumbent President Putin, will win the election and he will remain in power until 2030. And the Russian constitution was amended in 2020, providing for the Russian presidents to be able to remain in power for one more term if he wins the 2024 elections. Thus, he will potentially remain in power until 2036. So certainly we have seen the opposition that is normally jailed or abroad. The fund of Alexei Navalny, who himself is jailed and his organization is outlawed in Russia, deemed as extremist, saying that obviously with regard to those elections, the voters have to come to the polls and vote for any other alternative candidate. But again, the political scientists say that that will have very little impact and the result is pretty much expected.
Dasha, thank you for joining us at this hour and for that update. Our correspondent, Dasha Chernyshova, bring us the latest. They're live from Moscow, of course, shining a spotlight on the Russia-Ukraine war and also some of the dynamics unfolding ahead of the elections that's also set to take place there next year.